What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Now, today I've got for you a couple of crazy Reddit stories. The first is genuinely shocking. This woman sadly finds out that her husband, who is so sweet and genuine in real life, actually isn't really like that. When she stumbles across his Reddit account one morning and finds out that he has been brutally cyberbullying people online, including teenagers, her whole perception of the man she's married to changes immediately. Before we get into this one, make sure you are subscribed to my channel if you go on to enjoy it. Before we get into this one, make sure you are subscribed to my channel for more stories just like this in the future. Let's go. I just discovered my husband of 6 years is a Reddit troll. And I'm pregnant. This was originally posted almost 10 years ago now on July 29th, 2014. For context, the woman writing is 32 and her husband is 34 years old. He left the browser open on our laptop after he went to work this morning. I go to work after, so I usually hop on and do my own things on my real account. Today, however, I was disgusted at what I found. My husband is a troll. A really freaking nasty troll. He leaves horribly mean comments to all kinds of people. They're filled with racist slurs, awful insults. He tears into fat people, ugly people, etc. He loves to troll around places like r/progress pics to discourage people. He sent PMs to people to call them names, calls women who post on r/gonewild tramps, and the C word, and more. I was horrified, completely horrified. My husband is a nice, gentle man who is supportive and kind. In our 9-year relationship, we fought 3 times total. I never thought this is a behavior he would take part in, but this is something else. It made me wonder what else he does on the internet. So I looked at his browser history to find him also harassing teenagers on Tumblr, telling them to KYS, calling cute girls ugly and fat and stupid, etc. It horrified me to think that this was the man who could be raising our daughter with me in a few months. Look, I understand that trolling can be fun. We've all laughed at Ken M once or twice, but this goes far beyond what I ever imagined. I don't know how to look at him. I've lost respect for the man I looked up to and admired. Good men don't tear each other down. People don't do that in general. I don't know what to do. I want to bring it up to him, but I don't know how to do it without him automatically getting defensive and spouting off the same lines you hear from people. Get thicker skin, the world isn't kisses and rainbows, etc. Of course it isn't, but why contribute to it? It's always the innocent ones, isn't it? Before I give my thoughts, let's get into some comments. Somebody says, "You never suspected this kind of behavior based on how he interacts with you and others? That's extremely horrifying. He seems like he has a lot of pent-up anger or resentment, and he's taking it out on people over the internet. I think the best thing to do is talk to him about it. You're having a child with him. You can't just walk away from that, as horrifying of a discovery as this may be. But you need to be careful when you approach him. You weren't snooping. He left it open. He can't get mad at you for that, though I'm sure he will be extremely defensive. Update us and let us know you're okay." And OP replied, "I don't intend on just walking away, but I'm stunned and horrified at the kind of person he's showing himself to be, you know?" Somebody else said, "How would you know this when moderators in these subreddits delete those type of comments and subsequently ban the username? He's trolling on some heavily moderated places, so he can't be making frequent comments under one name. Do you have access to all of his troll accounts?" OP replied to this saying there were comments up that he just left that morning. That is how I know. And finally, OP replied to a deleted comment saying, "Calling strangers awful names, harassing them, and doing things just to hurt their feelings does mean that he's not as good a person as I originally thought. Yeah, playing COD is one thing, but telling a teenage girl to end her life is something else." I imagine the comment here, the original comment that was deleted, was along the lines of, "It's the internet, people troll. It doesn't mean they're like this in real life." But I agree with OP. There is a limit, and trust me, I've said my fair share of bad things in COD lobbies over the years. But to tell a teenage girl to unalive herself as a, 34-year-old man? Yeah, that's way too far, and that is their personality, I'm sorry. Okay, 8 days later, we got the first update. I confronted him about the issue very tamely over breakfast. I asked him flat out if he was harassing and bullying people online. He said yes and immediately withdrew. After telling him that I needed to know why, really why, not just, I don't know, he said he needed time to think about it. When he finally gave me his answer, I was disappointed. He said he trolled and bullied people because it was an outlet for him to relieve stress. He said he didn't view the people as real or what he was doing as anything other than a joke, and if it hurt feelings, quote, those people have bigger problems and it's not my fault. Okay, pretty much just completely denying that what he is doing has any real ramifications then. That's a really embarrassing answer. OP continues, I told him that it wasn't an acceptable behaviour of an adult and that he needed to stop it and find another way to express his frustrations that didn't involve hurting strangers. He said he would think about it. Unfortunately though, he's still doing it. What? I saw it happening a few mornings back, and after he left, looked again to see more comments and posts. I was disappointed. This was not the man I married, or so I thought, but I guess it is. I told him that we need to either go to counselling for this or start the separation process. I told him that I couldn't trust him to help raise a child if he speaks to strangers, children included, the way he does online. I let him know that I thought it was cowardly, pathetic, and that I have lost a lot of respect for him. I knew this would be abrasive and hurtful, and I don't like that I had to tell him that, but I cannot look at him the same way. We haven't had sex, we've barely touched. I cannot see my husband as a loving, gentle man. I'm not afraid of him, but I'm disgusted with his behaviour. This is the sort of thing that children do. I made an appointment for counselling for myself over this. Unfortunately, he told me that he wouldn't be going to counselling because there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, and he deserved to have his me time and release his emotions. Oh my goodness me. That's maybe the worst thing about all of this. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong by cyberbullying children and teenagers online. Jesus. And because I want to protect my child myself, OP continues, I've asked him to leave the house. He's staying with some friends, but I don't think this will lead to a reconciliation. I'd hope this story would have gone another way. Okay, that is it for the first update. OP replied to a couple of deleted comments. First of all saying, I never said anything about custody in my comments at all. Other people are bringing that up. I would not restrict his visitation or custody at all, so long as he proves that he's a reasonably fit parent. Quote, but adults should be able to talk to adults whatever way they like. Well, I'm not restricting his freedom to talk to people in any way he wants. I am, however, telling him that his choice to do such is unacceptable behaviour for a grown man. And also, this isn't just to other adults, that's the point. It's to teenagers online. I mean, that isn't allowed. He was given the option to see a therapist, says OP. He was given the option to stop. He was not willing to do either. If he changes his mind, he knows he's got wiggle room. This is the first step. OP replied to another deleted comment saying, it's not a funny quirk to tell a child to unalive themselves. It's not harmless. It's not acceptable behaviour for a good person. Good people do not tear other people down. I'm not a fan of breakups, but you're painting this as a different situation. I gave him options on how we can fix this. I gave him a chance. He declined it and clung to acting like a horrible child. He showed himself to be someone other than who I married. I did not marry someone who would ever tell a child to unalive themselves. I married someone I thought was good and kind. He is not that person and was not willing to end that behaviour. He would rather harass children and be mean to people than have his family. Okay, let's get into the final update now. This was posted at the start of 2015, 6 months after the original. So, as you can see, it's been 6 months since this all started unfolding. Since then, I gave birth to my beautiful daughter. She is the light of my life, and she is one of the easiest babies I've ever been around. After 1 month of being apart, he contacted me and asked me if I would still be willing to enter into counselling regarding our situation. Of course, after being together for so long and us having a child, and my belief that marriage is not something to be taken lightly, I jumped at this. In counselling, it was revealed that he was doing a lot more than what I knew about. He was involved heavily in bullying people all over the internet, and he said that this was his stress relief, that if people can't, quote, take it, then it's their problem and not his. He admitted to being involved in taking pictures of fat women and posting them on Reddit, taking them from Tumblr, etc. In general, it was all worse than I'd originally known. He moved to also doing individual therapy, while still not living at home and us not meeting elsewhere. He started to put his efforts elsewhere. He picked up a few new hobbies to release his tension. He then decided that he would stop, and we slowly merged our family together again. I was feeling happy, ecstatic really, that my daughter would have the life she deserved. Unfortunately, he's still at it. After 3 weeks of being together and our lives seeming normal, I discovered from his friend that he was still harassing and bullying teenagers, fat women, etc. I have reason to believe that he is one of the individuals who bullied Leela Alcorn, as well as a few other trans teenagers. It broke my heart and solidified my decision. I tried to have one more counselling session to really get through to him, but he defended his actions as just the internet and not a big deal still. As of February, I filed for divorce. It broke my heart and I wish there had been another way, but that's the end of this story. I cannot be in a marriage with someone who is so cruel to children. I can't. My daughter and I are moving to a smaller house closer to my family. She'll be raised around many, many people who love her already. Okay, so there we go. That is the end of that story. It's just brutally tragic. And I say tragic because, excuse my ignorance, I didn't know who Leela Alcorn was. But yeah, sadly, she passed away December 28th, 2014. She was an American transgender girl who unalived herself after attention and brutal cyberbullying online. She actually posted an unalive note to her Tumblr blog about societal standards affecting transgender people, expressing the hope that her death would create a dialogue about discrimination, abuse, and lack of support for transgender people. And yeah, as we were told at the end there, OP found out that her husband was one of those people that was cyberbullying her. It's insane. I mean, we already knew this, right? But the fact that he was saying throughout all of this that it's just words, it doesn't actually affect anyone. If people can't take it online, then that's on them, not on him. Yet he has played a part in the death of a 17-year-old. It's just insane. I guess it shows that truly, even the most sweet and innocent people, and to be fair, maybe often it is these sweet and innocent people that actually have a horrible dark side to them. I mean, look, not all the time, of course. But yeah, if you really truly want to know somebody, I think that often you have to look at their browser history. That's just the truth. Okay, now moving on to our second story of this episode. I, a 25-year-old woman, discovered my boyfriend, who is 28, of 3 years, is cheating. Tonight is the biggest night of his life. Help me. This was originally posted on June the 8th, 2015. I won't go into all the gory details of our relationship. We were in love, and well, I still love him. But I found out that clearly he does not. I discovered proof that he has been cheating on me for a while, in the form of small home movies of them. I don't know the girl, and from the looks of their conversations, yep, went ahead and post-discovery snooped, she has no idea I exist. Tonight is the biggest night of my boyfriend's life. He's receiving a state award at a big dinner with a few hundred people attending, from his mum and dad to councilmen and all of that. In fact, the only reason I discovered this transgression is because I've been putting together a little video for him to enjoy of some of the key moments of his life. You know, typical sappy trash. I'm burdened with a lot of power right now, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the right thing, or if I even know the right thing. I'm blinded with tears of rage and sadness and betrayal, but at the same time, I love him, have loved him, and do I really want to do this? The relationship is over, no doubt about it. I'm not a woman who will take her man cheating on her, certainly not. That's not the issue. The issue is, there are cutesy selfies of the two of them. A lot of them, only shared between the two of them. Nothing lewd, there's plenty of that on camera though. Do I sneak one in the snap reel as a way of letting him know that I know, or do I simply confront him after his moment in the sun passes? I'm not going to pick up everything and leave without cutting contact. That's not my style, and it wouldn't make me feel good, just very sad. Do I do the female doggy thing for once in my life? To anyone looking at the snap reel, it would just look like a picture of him and a friend. But to him and to me, it would be a private message, an outing. Help me, Reddit. I don't know what to do this time. Oof, that is tough. My immediate response and answer to that would be, do it. Nothing crazy, don't completely ruin his life, but yes, get a picture in there so that he knows. You could also argue that you can go stronger than that. I mean, cheating is one of the worst things you can possibly do. Does he potentially deserve to suffer severe karma and ruin his future prospects, or at least the biggest night of his life, for doing what he did? Maybe, yeah. Comment down below. What do you guys think? Anyway, let's get into some comments. Somebody said, nah, you know what? If there's really nothing that anyone would pick up on other than the two of you, you slip that photo into the slideshow. Make eye contact with him when the photo appears on screen. Then when it's over, you stand up and walk out. It ain't the high road, but nobody needs to walk the high road all the time. OP replied, I chuckled. I think the only reason I would do this is to make eye contact with him so that he knows that I know. But I'm not sure I have the guts to do that. I'm not exactly Olivia Pope. All right, 6 weeks later, we got the following update. Well, it's been a month and a half since it all went down. I've gotten so many requests for an update, and I never intended to actually give one, honestly, because I was afraid of the fallout, depending on what I ended up doing. So what did I do? I did the immature, vengeful thing, and I don't regret it. I took a few photos of the two of them, tasteful photos that gave off no indication other than she might be a childhood friend, and I slipped them into the snap reel. And I spoke kindly of him at the podium. Then after my turn was finished, I walked out. I drove home feeling calm and in control. 20 minutes later, the text started. Where did I go? What did I know? Where did I find the photos? Was there more in store for him? I texted him, I know you've been effing her, but there are no more photos. There weren't any, and of course, I left it at that. He didn't come home that night, or the next. The next day, he called me to ask me if we could meet and talk at a public location. I agreed to meet him at Starbucks. I arrived early and waited for him. He showed up a few minutes late and took the seat across from me. He started right off with the excuses, how it, quote, just happened, and he regrets it fully. She doesn't mean anything to him, and that she looked like a girl he had a crush on in high school, and he was powerless against his teenage self. Wow, that is actually a brand new one, and I've got to be honest, guys, I love it. Blaming cheating on your teenaged self is insane. At least he's blaming it on himself, but himself from a decade ago. I mean, it's just phenomenal, it really is. I didn't interrupt him, just let him have his time. When he was done and looking at me for a sign of what might happen next, all I could say was, so where did you stay the past few nights? Her house, he said. And what did you do? He wouldn't answer. He stayed at her house? Oh wow, I didn't think it'd get any worse, but it did, and also funnier at the same time. There hadn't been any doubt in my mind. Really, I knew I was leaving him. He talked over himself, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, saying that he'd changed. But he's been staying at her house, man. Oh, it's so good. I told him that I didn't want him to have to change himself. That if who he was, naturally, was someone who cheated on his girlfriend, then that's not someone I wanted to be with. He said that he was thinking of proposing to me, and all I could say after that was, good thing I found out before. Where was he going to propose to you? In the girl's front garden? I mean, come on. Fast forward to a few weeks later. He's moved out, and I'm doing well. We've cut contact. People ask me about him all the time, and I just let them know he left me for a girl who looked like his high school crush. So, that's the end. We're broken up. We're never ever getting back together. I don't feel any regret for how I handled it. Like one commenter said, there's no need to take the high road all the time. I mean, genuinely, you just have to laugh at that. It's just so good. I'm so sorry. I will change. I didn't mean it. It was my teenage self doing those things. Okay, no worries. Where were you staying? You know, that's not important. That's not important, but I will change. And also, will you marry me? Just so good. You can't script that sort of stuff. It's just unbelievably profound. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. A funny story to end there. I mean, it's still sad, but a funny one. The first one, just unbelievably tragic. But yeah, get in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on these two stories? Especially the first one. I want to hear what you guys think. But yeah, that second one at least has lifted my mood somewhat. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you're still not subscribed, make sure to hit the button. If you want some more content from me right away, check out this episode on screen or some more linked in the description if you're on audio platforms. And yeah, I'll catch you all tomorrow with some more phenomenal Reddit content.